What's going on, all you constellations out there in the multiverse? You're listening to the Earth 16 Comics Wire podcast. I'm your host, Brian from Earth 16, and my guest for this episode of season number 4, episode 1, is Aaron Jordan of Wulfsbane Comics. Aaron, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
That's awesome, man. Glad you can be on. Had to take a hiatus for a while due to dealing just with the summer heat and like all this other stuff, but right now I'm back in the I'm back in the game. I'm just ready to kick off this season number 4. So glad you can be on. How's it going?
It's going okay. Took a nap for a little bit. Honestly, the weather out here is little drowsy, but it's okay. At least
I
I
mean,
got
it's the
some stuff
grind,
done.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What part of the US do you live in?
Oh, New Jersey, actually.
Jersey?
Yeah.
All right, I live in Arizona. It's freaking hot here, man.
Oh, I hear, man. I hear. How you dealing with that over there?
Drinking lots of water. Like a lot of water.
Dang.
So yeah, I looked into Wolfsbane Comics, and I thought it was really cool that, especially when you founded it this year, it looks like you're starting a comic universe. And looks like it's also let's see, it's a new publishing company. It has a flagship comic called Wolfsbane, which is about two detectives that are in a town called Bancroft, investigating a murder, and that it centers around two detectives named Jack Mulligan and Brian McKenzie, in that they discovered that these murders involve a werewolf, which I thought was really cool. And that they must, like, and I quote, it says here that the detectives must find a way to look past themselves and overcome the monster that dwells inside of them. That sounds really awesome.
Thank you, man. Yeah. When I first started Wolfsbane, at first I was gonna have to be just like this average werewolf slasher, because I forget how it started, but I believe I was actually watching a horror movie, and I honestly forget which one it was. But I was thinking, hey, wouldn't it be cool if it was like this in comic form? So I went with my favorite choice. Obviously, it's the werewolf. How could you not go with the werewolf,
Yeah.
right? and and then it was just history from there. It didn't go into the detective plot until I actually started thinking of how I could make the story better. So I'm actually glad that it turned out this way.
Yeah, and I also read somewhere too that you're doing a Kickstarter on it, that it's gonna come out in October of this year.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
has Go ahead.
My bad. No, go, you first.
And has the Kickstarter is it still going on right now? Or is it fully funded?
Okay, so the Indiegogo it actually did end. So all the rewards and everything will be going out and shipping in November. I'm going to be launching the official books for everyone on my website in October. And hopefully in the future, once I have everything figured out with issue 2, I'll be doing a double issue release where you can get both issues plus a little something special that I have planned in the future.
That's awesome. And so some of the perks involve the issues and all that. Do you also have any
Yeah.
other perks like t-shirts or,
A
action
funny
figures?
funny thing, actually, right now I am working on merchandise. So I'm thinking after issue 1 has a decent amount of sales, I can start hiring graphic designers to do some t-shirt workings. But I already have hats and everything figured out.
That's really awesome. And like, so where did you come up with so you came up with the name Wolfsbane? Like, is that just about centering around the wolf, or is it like, because it
Oh,
sounds really like, it sounds like the title itself sounds kind of grim, like it's
yeah.
gonna be like Wolf's Bane,
To be honest, you're actually the first person to ask that question. So I'm kind of glad. It's been a question I really wanted to answer. So if you notice the way that it's spelled differently from like actual Wolfsbane, I wanted it to be like a double entendre sort of thing. Because of course, the Wolfsbane is a poisonous plant, and that's pretty much a metaphor for um, pretty much, yeah, what you do, what the characters do in the story can it has the potential to poison not only themselves but the other people around them. It's sort of like your actions beget consequences, whether that be good or bad. And the reason why I spelled it wolf, like WULF, is because I wanted to pay homage to the, what do you call it, an epic, the epic of Beowulf. And
Ah,
as you
yes, Beowulf.
exactly, yeah, and as you know in Beowulf, it's like a huge story of where he's this cool dude and he just does all this awesome stuff, but in the end he kind of bites himself in the butt.
I mean, he's a hero. I mean, this guy went against Grendel and Grendel's mother.
Yes. All right, it's a pretty great story, man.
Yeah, and like this sort of like Icarus too, in a sense, where he when he finds out that he has the ability to fly, he flies so far up into the sun that the wax on his wings just melt, because he and his dad, I think, made these wings to escape.
Yeah.
And he starts flying around. His dad's like, "Dude, get down from there. What are you doing?" And then like the sun melts off his wings, and he just like falls completely. And it's just like, man,
Yeah, honestly, you should have listened.
yeah. So I mean, I thought it was really cool that you added like an homage to Beowulf. So when didn't you start getting into comics?
When did I start getting into it? So, are you talking about like making comics or just comic books in general?
Well, I mean, both actually. Both. I mean, comic books and making comics in general.
Well, okay. Well, for starters, I actually got into comics. I think around like 8. My uncle had these old what do you call it? The reprints of the Amazing Fantasy comics. So I was just reading Spider-Man every day until I managed to get my hand on the Spider-Man 2 DVD. Then I was just watching that. But I started making comics when I was I want to say in 2nd grade. That's when I started just dabbling in the stuff. I was making what do you call it, like carbon copy scene for scene reshoots of the Spider-Man 1 movie. But then after that, I stopped getting into it, and I literally just picked it back up in 2020. So I have a lot of catching up to do.
I mean, that's awesome though, that that you started like to kind of like emulate the artists, and started copying from Spider-Man 1. Was that like with Tobey Maguire, or?
Yes, yes. Tobey
Yeah, I
Maguire is
mean,
my
he's
man.
like, yeah, he's like my Spider-Man also. Even though the other ones are cool too, though. But I mean, it'd always be
Oh,
Tobey
they are.
Maguire,
It will always be Tobey Maguire.
without question. I mean, I kind of did a little bit of that too. I mean, during my elementary school years, though, but it was just, I felt like it was just a kid's thing for a while. But then I recently got back into comic books myself. Like I started reading them more when I got into college. Funny
Oh yeah,
enough.
I feel that.
Yeah, it just came back. Like it was dormant for a while, and just to kind of revisit that, and it's like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And yeah,
Yeah, it's like the love never dies out, man.
it never dies out. And I always discuss with people how real comic books are, even though some people believe that they're still ridiculous still, but I think they actually do mirror a lot of like what's going on right now, just in a
Exactly.
whole different way.
No, I feel that.
Yeah. So let's see. Do you have any like favorite writers or artists in terms of like comic books, or just, it doesn't even have to be comics, it could be like even like other books and all that, because we did mention Beowulf.
True. If we're talking about artists, I honestly don't know. Who's the guy that did the art for Marvels?
Marvel.
Like Marvels. It was that book where they did the point of view of the journalist, and the journalist was going through the history of Marvel Comics and all the
Hmm.
wonders that was going on there. Actually, no. Do you mind giving me a second to look it up?
Yeah.
Marvels. Okay, it's Alex Ross.
Alex Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great artist, man.
I like his art. It's just realistic. It looks like it's actually, it's real. I mean, I mean,
Yes.
there's no other way I can explain it. Like it's like a photograph. Like
Hmm. Exactly. And then there's the other guy that did one of my favorite Green Arrow runs, the Longbow Huntsman. Uh,
Oh, the Lombo Hunters. Yeah, I think I remember that one.
yeah, the artist there is freaking fantastic. I don't know what it is, but I really love realism in my art. But if I was going with something more manga-like, I would say the guy that did Death Note. I'm not really good on names, but him and Masashi Kishimoto, one of my
Masashi
all-time
Kishimoto.
favorites.
I don't think I've heard of him though, but I do remember. I do. The art I do like is like
Yeah.
Osamu Tezuka. Like his art's really cool.
Oh,
Did like
what did he
Astro
do?
Boy and like
Oh yeah,
yeah, Captain Ken, or I think he also did like he did this like some other ones too. I forgot.
yeah. I think he said did I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think he did Duro. How you spell it? Duro. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Hmm.
If not, I'm wrong. But
Right.
they look kind of similar in my opinion.
Yeah, like kind of like like Disney or something like that. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say Disney, but kind of that similar art.
I feel you.
Yeah,
Like that cartoonish style.
the cartoonish style. That's a like Betty Boop. That's the best way I can like say it. So yeah, I mean those are really those are really awesome works of art, and I did see some of the art too for Wolfsbane, and it looks really it looks gritty. I like it.
It
It's
is.
especially with the detectives and like the silhouette of the wolf, in the background. Like,
Yeah, I have to give all credit to my artist Thomas Muzzle. He has a website on right now. It's pretty much his name, thomasmuzzle.com. Check out his art. It's really amazing.
Thomas
Like,
Muzzle. Okay, yeah, definitely. And that's really cool. And then like I kind of feel like it kind of gives you the feeling of like what's to like it said in the synopsis, like they have to deal with like their inner demon or something like that.
yeah,
I feel like in a sense that like that wolf is gonna bring out a whole lot of them. And like I kind of even thought too that maybe one of them was the wolf, like that twist, you
you got to
know.
find some. You got to find that out in issue two. I can't. Well, yeah, you got to find it out in the end, somewhere in issue one. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's gonna be crazy.
Wow. And speaking of this comic in general, like do you like enjoy horror? Is like horror one of your favorite genres?
Oh yes, it is actually. It's right up there with surprisingly romance. I'm a sucker for romance genres.
Oh, hey
But
man, romance. I mean, romance is awesome. It spices things up.
exactly that, and I'd say the superhero genre is
Oh
my
yeah,
top three.
I love the superhero genre. And like it kind of reminds me too of like one of Brian Hawkins. I interviewed him like about like a year or so ago
Nice.
in regards to his comic Don't Ever Blink. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I I'm vaguely familiar with it. Can you run the synopsis by me?
Yeah, I think Don't Ever Blink. It was about, so pretty much it's about a young woman who's trapped in a home with her family, and
Ooh,
basically there's like this murderer, there's like these murderers going around where this guy would kill people, and then like he would
yeah.
leave one of his victims with their mouths and their eyelids sewn shut.
Ooh, shoot.
Yeah, and it's
I gotta check
like,
that out.
yeah, and I thought it was like a crazy thriller. I was like, dude, and I mean that's what it reminds me of. And it's like, you know at first, like, people, when you read stuff like horror, it's like, obviously it's like, oh crap, I don't want to read that though. But
Yeah.
what got me into horror was movies like Bruce Campbell's Evil Dead. That got me into
Yes.
horror, and that's like, this stuff is actually really awesome. And
Exactly. It's like I don't know what it is about campy horror, but it just puts everything on a whole nother level.
you forget that it's horror. I mean, at least for
Yeah,
me it was like that. Like, I even forget that this is scary. It's like, this is actually exciting.
exactly. Like, have
And
you ever seen How?
what's it called? How?
Yeah, I
Mm-mm.
watched it last night. It was hilarious. So it's a werewolf movie, but it's British, but they have this tongue in cheek humor to it that just puts you on the edge of your seat.
No, that's funny, man. It's a, like even like with Army, like Evil Dead, it's kind of like
Yeah,
that. And You know, and even like with The Walking Dead, like I've been watching that for years, and it's
I
like,
feel you.
again, you forget that it's horror. It's just
Exactly.
it very much, it's like what one of the characters on the show said one time when they asked him, like, man, has this world changed? And one of the characters is like, not really. The world's just the same as it has been, before
Yeah.
all this. And that's what horror kind of reminds me of too. It's just a fact that they're going through the same exact things that we're going through.
Exactly. It's just a different circumstance.
Yeah, and they're just regular people, and it's just, yeah.
Yeah, like
And I guess that's why
that.
so many people can relate to horror, I feel.
True. It's
So
like
it's good.
no, my bad. I was just gonna say that was like an inspiration for what I want to do in my work, but my bad.
Well, I mean, which brings me to my next question. Like, what would you expect? What should we expect from Wolfsbane?
Uh, that's tough. I'd say you can expect a 40 to 50-ish issue story that will get you involved and get you to not love, understand, and hopefully relate to most of these characters. Not everyone in this book is just good or evil. They all have a deep underlying motivation to what they do.
I like that, actually. Just of that gray area. No one's either good or bad. It's just, they have their own motivations, their own agendas. And it goes back to Walking Dead, even. Like, I discuss this with a lot of people, and you have the protagonist Rick Grimes, and I feel
Hmm.
like with season 7 of The Walking Dead, or even season 2, like, you kind of
Hmm.
question, like, who's really the good guy in a sense, and
Exactly.
who's really the bad guy. And you see that a lot with the dichotomy with Shane and Rick and Shane.
Hmm.
And it makes sense because with Shane, I mean, you can't really fault the guy for wanting to get with Rick's wife, because
True.
he thought Rick died, but then lo and behold, Rick somehow comes back to life,
Yeah, I
and
never understand that. Did they explain that or?
I mean, like, he got shot. I mean, to be
Uh,
fair, I mean, he probably could have died from getting shot, because if you
True.
if you watch the show, you would see that he got shot pretty bad,
Hmm.
and then somehow he just miraculously recovers from the hospital, to only to find out that the whole world is just gone upside down, and then lo and behold, his best friend is getting with his wife, and it's just, I'm not saying it's right. I don't advocate for coveting a man's wife, but
True. True.
at the same time, you have to kind of understand too the fact that given the circumstances, and thinking that he was dead, like, it's like
Exactly.
you can't really get mad at the dude. But then, like, he couple, like, a season later, he kills him right there. So that's
God
one of the
dang.
things that kind of makes you question, like, okay, who's really the bad guy here? Now,
Exactly.
I'm not saying Rick is the bad guy, but it's just interesting. And then, like, I feel like season 7 kind of like revisited that, where with Rick and Negan's become one of my favorite characters.
I feel you. Like
And, like, yeah.
I was gonna say, what was that one scene like where they finally defeated him, and then one of the characters went back to see Negan to get revenge?
Yeah,
That's a very powerful scene.
that was a powerful scene. Yeah, Maggie. And, like, that right there even questions too. It's like, are these people, like, really as good as many people say they are? Because if you really think about it, they're attacking Negan's people. Negan
Yeah,
just if they left Negan alone, it would have been just like, okay, whatever. But
exactly.
I guess Rick took it upon himself, saying that, well, we can be enforcers, and be a change of good and all this. But
True.
it's like, dude, come on. you know
Exactly. Just stay in your lane, man.
like, staying here, exactly. And that's why Negan came after them, and he was just like, you're attacking my people, you're attacking my territory, and you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah. Ooh,
So,
shoot.
yeah.
One.
And I feel like, with something like, with the horror like Wolfsbane, I mean, we probably might see a little bit of that, kind of questioning, like, or even with books like Frankenstein too,
Yeah.
which, like, feel like was like the first horror, genre. That even makes, that's one of the, now that I think about it, that's one of the powerful things about horror, is that it really makes you kind of question, like, it makes you question, like, the moralities of people. It becomes so gray. Like you don't really know who's the protagonist or the antagonist.
Exactly. Like the movies will have you believe, oh, Frankenstein's just this big
The
brutish
creature's the bad
dude.
guy, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you're
Yeah.
like, but then like with the creature, you're like, wait a minute, like is he really the bad guy?
Exactly. Like, dude, you just thrust him into the world and didn't help him or anything. What did you expect him to do?
Yeah. So I mean, that's one of the cool things about horror, and I think even with this comic, it's gonna show that as well. So now we already touched base on your favorite genre, being romance, superhero, and horror on them. So let's see, how did you go into about forming your creative team for Wolfsbane?
Huh. Well, that's actually a tough process. For every other book that I try to do, if I can't do it myself, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a good artist yet.
I
But
mean, we
I
all gotta
try
start somewhere.
exactly. But I try to find the people that best incorporate the feeling of the book that I want to make. For since Wolfsbane was it's pretty much a detective noir style horror. It needs to have that feeling. So for the inks, Thomas was a fantastic choice, and my colors actually suggested that the coloring have sort of a painted feeling. Like I don't know. You have to actually see the pages for you to understand. I can't really describe it. It's just
Oh, the
it really
pages are gonna
fits
do the
it.
talking.
Exactly.
That's the best art, actually, in my opinion. Like, that's the whole spirit of comics, where your drawings become the words or the sentences.
Exactly.
And I mean, that's another genre I forgot to mention is noir. Especially comics like Nottingham from Matt Cave Studios. I don't know if you heard of that comic.
I have not.
It's a real interesting twist on Robin Hood, the whole
Ooh,
myth of Robin Hood, and it's the point of view of the sheriff of Nottingham, who's usually a
ooh,
villain. And
ooh.
Robin
Okay.
Hood is just like this twisted terrorist who's just going after. I mean, he still steals from the rich and gives to the poor, though, but just in a weird, twisted sort of way. I
Okay.
mean,
I'm
if
glad
you
to
haven't
check
read it
that
yet,
out.
I recommend you check it out.
Who's the artist on it?
The
I'm
artist,
the author.
the author is David Hazen,
Okay.
and the publisher's Mad Cave Studios. I've been actually covering a little bit of it too on the podcast and the Daily
Nice.
Planet website, and it's just the story is just really you get hooked, and it's like a unusual twist on the Robin Hood mythos. And with Robin Hood, he's just seen as this terrorist. He goes after people, and and just in a sadistic sort of way. And then there's a sheriff who's like a war veteran who fought in the Crusades, and just has a just when you see him like do the investigations on it, it's like noir but in the medieval times. It's crazy.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad to check that
definitely.
out.
So the next question would be, what do you hope for readers to get out of Wolfsbane, and like the especially with the publishing company being Wolfsbane, like are there going to be like more stories that come out of it?
Out of Wolfsbane in general.
Yeah.
For Wolf. Okay, so I hope that you guys get a good story out of it. I hope you guys um look back at it and you can actually I hope that you guys can reread it and just see different aspects of these characters. And hopefully in the future if the run is good, I do plan on filling in some blanks for certain characters because some stuff will be mentioned and sprinkled throughout the book, but I need to make more like prequels or issue zeros for certain characters, if you know what I mean.
Spin-offs, I like
Yeah,
those.
spin-offs, yes. That's a good name for it actually.
Yeah, it sounds like you're setting up a whole universe.
Oh yeah. I am actually. But technically um for new titles, I'm gonna be dabbling around in different genres. So Wolfsbane right now, it takes place in the modern day, in I'm debating on whether I wanted to have real world settings. You know, like how DC has Metropolis and is technically based in New York.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing something like that. So Wolfsbane would be centered around New Jersey,
But like a fictional city kind of in New Jersey in a
pretty much.
sorts. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I never thought of doing that. So it's kind of like another world building, I would say.
yeah, I think so, pretty much.
Yeah. Because like I
Uh,
know like with one of the previous interviews I did with Lonnie Lacasifer for the comic Heavens Decoded, he
yeah.
talks a whole lot about setting up that new universe with his comic,
Hmm,
and probably having stories centered around certain characters. I mean, I think that's really cool. I mean, I feel like we need that,
exactly.
because I mean, you have DC, Marvel, and Image though, but what about these other, up and coming publishing companies like Wolfsbane,
Hmm.
or like, the universe of Heavens Decoded, or perhaps
Concrete comics.
yeah, or
Yeah,
like, and you got like, like even with Image, I feel like I love Image comics,
yeah,
and the one thing I really like about it too, as I mentioned almost every episode I do, like, is the fact that they're creator owned. No corporate
yes,
entities telling them like, oh, you need to draw your character like this, or this is where the
exactly.
character needs to go. It's like, nah,
Hmm.
this is for the creators by the creators.
True,
And I feel like those are the best stories in my opinion.
they really are sometimes. Like I picked up issue 1 of Nocterra, and I was actually surprised of how well it turned out. I was thinking, it's just another comic book. It's made by Image, but I don't know. And then bam, it just hooks me in like
Yeah.
in the first 5 pages.
I mean, that's how it was when I read Walking Dead, and like I think even at one time I almost read the whole series, not in one sitting though, but I almost read that series like religiously. And this, mind you, this was after watching the show though. But then the comic was just more damn, like
I feel
there's a
that.
story there, and you even see like, you even see like notes from like Robert Kirkman, or where he talks about like the direction that he was going to take with the characters originally,
Yeah.
and you can really feel like his emotion in some of these characters, especially when he made the decision to kill off Andrea. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't read the series yet.
Hmm.
But he was like, I think he was like, he wrote that he was on a plane or a plane ride, and that's when he decided to kill off Andrea. He's like, crap, man. And like, it was really hard for him to like write that scene. And I was just like,
I feel you.
whoa,
Give me
like
one
that's how
second.
you know.
Give me 1 second. I gotta put the cat out.
Got a
Hi,
cat?
Cuckoo. Yeah, it's my roommate's cat. I'm about to be vegan one soon, so we can have a little buddy.
That's awesome. I got my cat here, right next to me in my room.
Aw, that's
Yeah,
nice.
she's just sleeping, not causing too much trouble.
I feel you. Mine just got done with his nap.
Yeah. Oh, it's always cool to have a mascot.
Oh, it is.
So yeah, so you're setting up this comic universe, which I think is really cool. So like, I think so right now we're closing towards the episode. Like any like final thoughts for Wolfsbane?
Any final thoughts?
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, I just wanted to. I just hope you guys enjoy it. Actually,
Oh
if
yeah.
anything, if anything, stay cool, and any love that I get, any feedback, it's always welcome and appreciated. It's just helped me grow as a writer. So thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, man. So where can we follow you on social media?
Oh, so I have a link tree actually. It's Wolfsbane Comics, and it takes me to all my other sites. But the main place you guys want to find me at is Twitter at wolfsbanecomics.com and my website www.wolfsbanecomics.com. I mean www. Yeah. .wolfsbanecomics.com. See, the dots always get me tripped up.
It's all good, man. I mean, that confession. Like sometimes for me, man, it's like I have trouble memorizing my Twitter and like my Instagram, so it's kind of
Oh
mixed up
yeah,
sometimes. But
I feel that, man.
yeah, but I mean, I should get a link tree. Shoot, maybe that's what would help me.
Yeah, it's so easy. You just make it, post it in all your things, and then just click on it.
Boom.
Yeah, and then you got like, oh, he also has this. Nice.
All right, so yep, that's where you can find Aaron Jordan. So Aaron, thank you so much for being on. Yeah, remember, ladies and gentlemen, Wolfsbane comes out on October of this year. Be sure to go on Aaron Jordan's link tree to look for any updates. It's going to be an awesome comic. I'm looking forward to reading it. So otherwise, thank you so much for being on, Aaron. And thank you all for listening and for viewing also. And as I always say, people stay ever so awesome. This is Brian from Earth 16 and Aaron Jordan signing out.
Take care.
Okay.